Well, hey, what's going on? Happy to be joined by Bryce Spalding. Talk a little Reds baseball here. As we have two spring training games now under our belt. Bryce, how excited are you to have a little baseball back in your life?
It's good to be back. I was telling my wife today, I was like, I've never been so happy to hear Tommy Thrall's voice come through the radio and just listen to a little baseball as we went about our day today. So it was great to be back.
You're a big college baseball guy, so you've kind of had a little bit. You've had a little bit of time going so far, right?
Yeah, I watched Louisville a lot and then watched some other big teams. So, but yeah, it's just feels right. It's been feeling good outside. Obviously today's a little colder, but down our way in Bowling Green, it's been feeling awesome. So been felt like baseball season for a couple weeks now.
All right, well, let's jump into it. Let's start off with we'll start off with the bad, but we'll get to the good. Rough day for the Reds bullpen on Sunday is just pretty much just about everyone imploded except for one guy we'll talk about here in a second. That I know we're all excited about. Um, the Reds bullpen just kind of overall, you know, I think they did a really good job with the bullpen. We talked a lot this offseason about how dire it really was. I mean,
Mhm.
re-signing Pagan and all the other signings and trades they brought in. I mean, it was like Ashcraft and Santion and a bunch of guys that have 10 games under their big league belt. And I think they did a really good job, but just because they did a really good job doesn't mean it's necessarily like foolproof either, because it's just kind of nature when you're a small market team. You kind of have to just do the best you can to formulate a bullpen. And you kind of have to hope for the best because, these relievers are such a crapshoot and so volatile. And unless you're, a team that has bundles of cash, and even still, you're not even going to guarantee to have a great bullpen. So I feel like they did a good job, but it still is going to be, I think, a pretty decent question mark here coming into the season.
Yeah. I think I don't. If you find me a team that feels good about their bullpen, and I'll probably call you a liar because I think everybody's still like on the fence. Like, hey, we could have a really good bullpen. I guess maybe the Guardians. The Guardians are the only team that can just consistently run out whoever out there, and they just feel like the
Brewers probably feel
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. But yeah, there's a couple teams that probably feel good. But like overall,
Yeah,
I would say 80% of teams are like,
yeah.
well, if these couple guys are good, then we'll have a pretty good bullpen. I think the Reds probably feel the same way. Like if Santion and Pagan and Ashcraft are who we think they could be, I feel pretty good about the back end. And that's really what you're hoping for. You're hoping for the back end to be solid and quality and then piece together the fifth, sixth, seventh sometimes. So I mean, I feel pretty good about that. Like you said, I feel like they brought in some guys they probably are comfortable with. Like Brock Burke's a pretty good arm. Like uh, the Caleb Ferguson's a good arm. So they brought in guys that have experience, which I think was what, like you were talking about, they needed that. They needed some guys that have pitched 162 games throughout a year and know the daily grind of the ups and downs. And they're not going to be rattled if they go out and give up 3 runs and then they can pitch the next day. Like, but we can't have. I love Zach Maxwell and what he has, and Luis May and what he has, but those guys are probably a little bit more up and down day to day. So it's good to have those guys as options. But I'm glad we're not going to have to rely on them kind of going into the year. So obviously the volatility of Connor Phillips showed up today, which I think it's going to show up probably a few times this year, which is that you're going to have to take the good with the bad with him because he's going to have some stretches where he looks like the best reliever in baseball, and then some other stretches where you're like, how does this guy big league pitcher because he can't throw a strike? So it's February 22nd. I'm not too worried about it, but there definitely is. It's just kind of what bullpens are.
Yeah, I don't think anything that happened on Sunday. Obviously, we always take spring training results with a grain of salt. I don't think anything on Sunday should have necessarily like have you down on Phillips or Maxwell or May, but I think it does serve as a pretty good reminder why it was so important that those guys weren't guys you had to count on, because all
Yeah.
those guys, if they can start the year in AAA, and it's not like you have to find someone off the waiver wire to fill. You're still going to have some big league quality arms that you can throw in there. So that would be kind of my biggest takeaway. I wouldn't lose any faith in any of those guys. I think you still really need at least one of those guys to kind of step up and be kind of one of those relief aces that the Reds really, I think, need some of those higher upside arms to kind of complement kind of the steady veterans that they got, and a guy that you can put in just big spots to get you out of jams that just has that nasty stuff. But yeah, at the same time, like, serves a pretty good reminder, like these guys, they don't need to be thrown into those roles yet. And we know Terry Francona is absolutely not going to put up with what he saw today during the regular season.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think it's such a good spot to be in because, like you said, they're our seventh and eighth guy out of the pen at the moment. Is Phillips, I think, probably feels good about where he's at in the roster. I think he'll probably make it. But then that eighth spot is literally wide open. I could see any of like 6 or 7 guys being in there. So it really is a kind of open competition for that spot. And obviously, injuries are going to happen. Guys are going to be behind schedule or whatnot. So we're going to need a lot of arms down there. So, like, if we could get 1 or 2 of those kind of high upside guys to pop a little bit, that'd be really, really big for that group.
One guy that did look really good on Sunday was TJ Anton. 1, 2, 3 innings, struck out Cal Raleigh. I haven't been able to fully dive into all the nuggets that I know, like you and Mitch were throwing out on Anton on Sunday, but I heard a lot of positive things. I also saw Mark Sheldon put Anton as his dark horse to make the opening day roster.
Wow.
And this was posted before Sunday. I just saw this article. And so, like, yeah, what a cool story. I mean, obviously it's just like a great story that he's even still around as you know, I don't know if that sounds good or not, but like, it's just crazy that this guy just continues to pick himself off the mat and has put himself in this position. But did you feel like kind of what you know, at least we heard in the stuff today, like he maybe actually has a shot at making this team?
Yeah, it's remarkable. It really is. I mean, 3 Tommy Johns. He's literally writing a book for this reason alone. Like, he's setting something. This is nothing that's ever been done before. So the fact that he looks like a serviceable major league pitcher after this is insane, and it speaks to his level of resolve and obviously his level of talent. Like, this dude is insanely talented. We saw what he was in 2020, 2021. Like, he could have been the best reliever in baseball if he would have kept on that trajectory. So, like, obviously, he's not that guy. He'd never be that guy again. But, like, the fact that he's getting outs in the big leagues of a guy that finished second in the MVP last year, regardless of what time of year it is, like, that's awesome. It's such a cool story. And, I mean, he would probably be able to bring so much, like, wisdom and arm care things to these bullpen guys. And I know others have mentioned it, but I hope he stays with the Reds organization for a very, very long time after he's done with playing and everything like that. And hopefully we give him plenty of runway to kind of grow his career post playing career as well. But yeah, it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, you know, you have a pitcher feeling sorry for themselves down in the bullpen because they're not throwing strikes, or, you know, something's not going right. It's like, yeah, I had 3 Tommy John surgeries. Suck it up. Like, yeah, that's the kind of veteran leadership you need down there. But no, I completely agree. And yeah, it would be just an incredible story if he makes the big league roster. A lot of time, a lot of spring left, but shout out to TJ Anton. It wasn't he was like the last inning before they switched to the backups. Like, he went through like the heart of the order, you know, for whatever it's worth at this time of the year. But good for TJ Anton. Yeah, man, I love 2021 TJ Anton. I mean, and they were using, like, David Bell was using him in like 2-3 innings at a time, and it was just like it was like such a unique way to use a reliever. And it was like, God, if you get to lead the 7th inning and TJ's fresh, the other team's cooked. Like, that's how it felt.
It was
And
100 mile an hour and just nasty stuff.
you remember it was in San Francisco. He like did something. I think he threw like 50 something pitches. Like, the bullpen was gassed, and he just went like the whole way. And it was just like he was incredible. But yeah, shout out TJ Anton. Let's move on to the offense from Sunday. JJ Bleday. How about his Reds debut? Deep South Commodities is a proud supporter of Chatterbox Reds and our deep drive of the day, and DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation and sales, Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. And we also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. Let's move on to the offense from Sunday. JJ Bleday, how about his Reds debut? Had 2 balls hit 109 miles per hour. One of them was off the top of the wall for a double. Maybe there's a competition with Will Benson. We're not exactly sure who's competing with who at this point, but Will Benson hit a home run on Saturday. So it seems like these guys are like, hey, anything you can do, I can do better type thing. What do you think about JJ Bleday? Kind of an interesting player. Obviously, there's upside. He was a top draft pick, had a really, really good year a couple years ago. But last year kind of cratered playing in Sacramento. What's your take on Bleday?
Yeah, it's a great upside buy for the Reds. Like, I think people are maybe being a little bit too like cut and dry about it. Like, they got a guy that was a 3-WAR player a year and a half ago for $1.4 million, and he's got an option. Like, it was such a smart play. Like, there's really no downside to bringing him in and letting him compete. I think I sent it out maybe a week or so after they signed him. It was like, I think those two could bring the best out of each other. Like, I think Will Benson's never been afraid to compete, and I think JJ Bleday is probably the same way. Like, if those guys are truly competing for one spot, which, like you said, nobody really knows what the end of their bench is going to look like or what their roster is going to look like right now. But I think those two guys can really change the ceiling of the Reds in a lot of ways, because they do have that upside of like, okay, that guy's a really daggone good hitter against right-handed pitching. And that's what the Reds kind of need right now. They need that guy that's like going to be a 115 to 125 WRC plus guy against right-handed pitching and kind of solidify their lineup there. So if one of those guys can push the envelope, or both of them even can push the envelope to be everyday guys, that would be awesome for us in general. And then it makes Tito's job hard, which last year his job wasn't very hard. He kind of put in who he needed to put in and rolled with the punches. So, I mean, if we can have 11, even 12 guys that you feel good about on the bench or in the lineup, I think that speaks volumes to the depth of this team and kind of where the 40 is trending. So I don't know. I've heard comments about Benson, and I was like, well, that sounds really good for him. But then Bleday's played well. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see kind of when we get to the middle into the spring, how things are going to shake out there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously injuries just could completely
Yeah.
change the whole trajectory of this. So we'll have to kind of wait and see, who's healthy at the end of spring. But if JJ Bleday has to start the year at AAA, I don't think that's like a failure. That's okay. Wow, we got a really good player at AAA that's available when the first injury happens, because we know it's going to happen at some point. So like, I don't think there's anything to that. And $1.4 million, that's not that much money to have a legitimate option at your disposal. You pick someone up off waivers, you're probably paying close to that in league minimum. So it's like I don't really see an issue there. Are you in the camp though, like me, that unless he looks really, really bad this spring, I want to do whatever I can to keep Nate Lowe around, even if that means kind of putting him on a roster that he doesn't necessarily fit on, just to kind of keep him as an option for a 162 game season?
Yeah, I think Tito kind of spoke on it when they first signed him. Like, he's going to be treated like a vet, because that's what he is. Like, he's been a 6-7 year vet of, like, he's been a really good hitter for majority of those years. Like, we would have been fiending for that guy last year at times. Like, that's the type of guy they need presence wise. And then again, if he earns his way for more playing time, that really kind of doesn't muddy things up. It's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, we have Nate Lowe to pinch hit, or we can move Gino to third and Nate Lowe can DH when we've got these different things going on. So like, it just gives them different, like you said, it maybe not be a perfect match, but they've got enough versatility in terms of guys who can play third, who can play first, who can play outfield, to kind of make it work. So yeah, I'm very much in the camp that I think Lowe is. I wouldn't say go as far as to say he's a lock, but I do think that he's trending in a really good direction, just due to the fact that bench guys, being a bench player, I think is one of the most unforgiving jobs in baseball and sports in general, just because most of the time you're getting what 7 to 10 at bats a week, maybe one spot start here or there, a couple pinch hits against a high leverage reliever. Like you just don't have a lot going on there. Obviously, having a guy who's got some experience and kind of knows the ropes of what that looks like and how he can prepare himself, I think would be really beneficial for this group.
And Vercona has actually kind of had those like just all bat guys on his bench
Mhm.
before. He had a Jason Giambi at the end of his career in Cleveland. They went to the playoffs that year with him. I don't think he was very good. I think you'd have higher hopes with Lowe, but he's been okay with like kind of having that veteran guy, and I do think it protects you a lot more for the 162. So again, it'll be interesting, kind of to see kind of how his spring pans out. One last topic here, Bryce, before we wrap this up. Matt McLain, really good to see him get off to a good start. Had 2 hits, 2 doubles, both hard, or 1 double, both hard hit balls on Sunday. Just really good to see Matt McLain off to a good start. All the reports are that he seems to be healthy and ready to go, and it seems like he's probably got a chip on his shoulder this season.
Yeah. I mean, I think the the two extremes of McLean, we've seen both of them. Obviously, we've seen people be extremely high on him, maybe too high, of like, okay, this guy's the future of our franchise, better than Ellie, all this good stuff. And then last year, everybody was saying release him. Why are we playing him? Why send him down? All the good stuff. So like, there's got to be a middle ground there. Obviously, he's a young player. I think people, I say it every single time a guy has a shoulder injury, like they're so hard. It's such a difficult injury to even like everything that you do in a swing is in your shoulders. Like your shoulders are what drives you with what your timing, everything. Like he missed the entire year of baseball, was rehabbing his shoulder for a majority of that. And then he comes back and he's still like he's battling through different things. Like I think people maybe overcorrected a little bit on Matt, and like he was still what, a 1.5 WAR player last year. Like that's such a valuable player and a valuable asset. I'm excited for him to kind of get past maybe the negativity of what last year brought, and then just have a clean slate of like, okay, if I'm 2 years past shoulder surgery, I'm a year past the struggles. Like, how can we reset this year and go to work? Like, if he's a 100 WRC plus guy, we're looking at one of the best middle infields in baseball. If he's a 110, 115 WRC plus guy, we're talking a really special offense, I think. And he could be a 2020 guy super easy as well.
Bryce, really appreciate it. You can follow Bryce underscore Spalding on Twitter. Bryce, one of the best Reds follows out there, does a great job just talking Reds baseball all day, every day. So, Bryce, appreciate it. We'll have you back on again soon, my friend.